Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope that you are all doing well. I hope that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. If you're just waking up, I hope it only gets better from here. Yeah, don't forget to leave a like on the video. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. Very big thank you to everyone who has supported the channel in their own way. You are amazing. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Some pretty interesting things are happening. I don't know if it's actually not a physical shift that has happened, but we've definitely, I think, entered, at least it feels this way to me, some sort of a brand new era. You're going to see one of the stories that popped up, and I've been saying for a while, like usually follow the patterns, and this is definitely patterning. A lot of people are beginning now, and institutions are figuring out that cryptocurrencies and blockchains do a lot more than just kind of sit there and like move transactions back and forth. And that's what I think a lot of the discussions for next year are going to be about. You'll see as we actually jump to it, because it's a little bit too on the nose over and over and over what's happening with these assets. Basically, and I'm going to give you a little portion. What's happening is you've seen all of the companies buying huge amounts of crypto. Right. Cool. Got it. Awesome. The interesting part is that they're buying all of it. They want all of it for themselves, and they're going to get it. That's just the way that math works. B, the other applications for cryptocurrencies and blockchain are going to provide these companies with an excessive amount of passive income and extra money for doing absolutely nothing. And that, again, is what I think is going to be one of the major shifts in public perspective or perception, if you will, for why cryptocurrencies are important or should be had in general. But I think that the average person isn't going to buy crypto, like really. Like, we'll have some retail investors rushing in, but I think the average person is not going to start really buying crypto or adding it to, whatever, their bank account until Bitcoin goes past $1 million. I have a very, very specific feeling about this. This one is, something that we've heard before. It seems to be happening more and more, where we've been getting a lot of news about companies within Japan from all walks of life announcing that they're basically trying to flee, like really, fiat currencies as quickly as they possibly can. The Japanese yen, along with other fiat currencies, it's not just them, are seeing huge amounts of devaluation. But theirs has, they're like a world economic leader. And to see something like this, a lot of companies have been like, I don't want to lose my money. So here's something different, the same, but also different, and then the same again. You'll get it. They are a mobile gaming company. Japan-based mobile gaming company. They're called Gumi. Gumi. Announced that they will be purchasing 17 million US dollars worth of XRP. Yeah, see, that one's different. As part of its growth strategy in the blockchain and Web3 space, allow me to lightly explain. Japan has a very long history with Ripple and with XRP, like really since like 2016, 2017, a lot of partnerships have been established there. Sometimes, years ago, people who were Bitcoin maximalists or Ethereum or Tron or Cardano a lot of the news focused around XRP back in the day. Like we're getting like 1/20th of what we used to get if you weren't here years ago. And a lot of people, we would hear Ripple partner with this company. Ripple did this. Ripple's working with the bank. And people always go, no, they're not doing that. And I was like, no, it's actually happening. South Korea and Japan. So we've been told. I do not live in either country. We've been told that like people there like love XRP. Like they don't like it. Apparently, and I say this in this way, it's like their Bitcoin. They think it's like the coin money of the future. And we used to have a lot of news stories years ago before we were talking about strategies or treasuries who would announce that they were actually working with Ripple in some form or capacity. But these were all under non-disclosure agreements, so we don't know what happened or how far many of these things actually went. So hearing that a Japanese company purchased XRP, it just kind of feels like the old days. The company's board of directors announced a decision today. The acquisitions are planned to take place. Okay, they already started. Are planned to take place between September 2025 and February 2026. Gummy argued that the XRP purchase wasn't intended solely to capitalize on price appreciation, but rather a step toward gaining a strategic position in international payment and liquidity networks. The company states that the move will increase revenue opportunities in blockchain-focused financial activities. XRP is at the first stages of getting into the Web3 DeFi kind of space. Ethereum, Solana, Cardano-esque. They're kind of known for protocols being created. You put your altcoins into them. They make you free money, that kind of thing. This is also meant to soon like really be a thing everywhere for XRP. We had news a week ago, 2 weeks ago, about Flare. Flare partnered with, I forgot what this company was called. Partnered with some company, and they're planning on releasing like a wide-reaching XRP staking passive income kind of thing. And that's what, once again, what we've been going over for a long time. A lot of the coins that seem to be focused on by larger institutions and companies all currently have or will have some kind of a staking passive income. I don't have to do anything, just leave my money there and I make money while I sleep kind of thing. So yeah, I think we had previously a dozen, maybe a little bit less, companies who announced kind of all in one batch that they were going to be creating some kind of an XRP reserve or strategy, you know, whatever words people are using now. So this is the first one in maybe like a month, maybe a little bit more. I assume we will have more over the coming weeks and years, especially within the United States, who, what's the word? As the lawsuit is over, you know, people can legally, without having to worry about SEC backlash, they'll be able to do so. But I assume Bitcoin and Ethereum will still be the most accumulated. But I think this is the advent of seeing other altcoins like becoming reserves as well. If you haven't been here, there were a couple of companies who were, I mean, we're buying Dogecoin, we're buying this coin. And I was like, all right, well, you know, everyone does what they want to do. That's the Gummy, G-U-M-I. I would say Gummy. Gummy, I don't know, is buying XRP news. And yeah, let's move on. So something is definitely going on. You'll see the word and then you'll get it. I don't know why the shift happened now. I guess it had to happen at some point. I say that often, like, why is it now? It had to happen at some point. We're getting a lot of tokenization, futurization, everything moving on to blockchains kind of news. If you weren't here for that recently, the last couple of videos, a lot of companies, a lot of foundations, Coinbase, Binance, this company, so-and-so, and Ripple, and the Ethereum Foundation, and you really name it. It's across the board, are talking about partnering with companies or explaining the next step. And it has to do with tokenization. The idea basically is like the digitization of assets, like their value being put on chain and allowing people around the world to, have access to these financial instruments and or items through a blockchain. So for this, the simplest one that we always go over has to do with you or someone else saying, hey, I'm putting my house's value on a blockchain and the ownership of it, and you being able to buy fractions of that. We had conversations about that years ago, and for some reason, it's hot in the news right now. It's the thing that keeps on popping up. So this is why I assume next year is going to be a heavy narrative will be around this idea of tokenization and things on chain and people being able to buy assets in this capacity. Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange by volume, has secured a pivotal agreement. Franklin Templeton, a prominent figure in traditional finance with a keen interest in crypto, has apparently partnered with Binance as well. This collaboration between two giants from traditional finance and the cryptocurrency world is poised to significantly bolster the future of cryptocurrencies. We had news. Oh gosh, what was the company? There was one who just announced this as well. And then Kraken apparently is doing this. Robinhood, I believe, is also beginning to tokenize stocks and other things like that on their platform. There are a few chains that apparently have kind of become the chosen ones, at least in the news. They are Solana, Binance Chain, Ethereum, and I think there's one other chain. One other one that's been mentioned recently as far as like where it appears institutions and large companies are going to start throwing their assets on top of. When you start hearing that these major banks and companies are putting, we're going to put $412 billion worth of assets on these chains, look out, because that means that chain has officially won. Okay, and there's a little image there. That's absolutely gorgeous. Wow, can't believe that. The partnership between these two titans aims to develop innovative products that bridge traditional finance and blockchain technology. Franklin Templeton has gained substantial experience in tokenization, while Binance possesses unmatched expertise in crypto trading. The partnership was announced by Roger Baston, EVP and head of digital assets at Franklin Templeton. He said, by collaborating with Binance, we can. I always want to say Binance. It's not a joke. When I look at Binance, it makes me want to say Binance every single time, and I don't know what it is. We can deliver groundbreaking products that meet the demands of global capital markets and create the portfolios of the future. Our goal is to move tokenization from concept to application, enabling clients to achieve large-scale efficiencies in reconciliation, collateral management, and portfolio building, end quote. If you are unaware, the idea is basically everything. So you know how when you talk about like Bitcoin hitting several $1 million and having a $500 trillion market cap and $1 million Ether and all, this is it. This is one of the other things. The idea would essentially be kind of the digitization and essentially fractionalization of everything. And I know that sounds broad, but that's basically what it's supposed to be. The way that it's been presented or put forth is that the idea is that these companies and these institutions, they have access to their items and stuff like that, but they basically want to put them on chain to have some sort of like provenance for them. Like when you buy a piece of art, It comes with a certificate of authenticity. The first step of that was NFTs. NFTs are a certificate of authenticity that says that you own said thing on chain. If you can do that in mass and basically make sure that your items in this way are protected, but also that they have new access to a brand new capital market, this is kind of, it's once again, this was presented as the next step of finance. If you can have a home that can be divided 25,000 times and sold to people, that's kind of what it's supposed to be. If you can have a first edition shadowless Charizard card, worth a lot of money, but you can also get people to also own fractions of this as well. Of course, the card itself would be in a vault, but it's meant to give other people access. So it's a little dystopian, actually quite dystopian in how it works. The idea is basically to give normal people an additional chance at accumulating assets because almost all the assets are gone. Remember, we were talking about, if you weren't here, 88% of the stock market is controlled and owned by 3 companies. Google it. You can also then, expand and say, well, the top 10 companies, how much do they own? If we're talking about corporate landlords, they want to buy, they're buying all the land, they're buying all the homes. If you talk about crypto, all these companies and institutions, that was one of the first things that was really like marketed for Bitcoin years ago when I first started the channel. One of the really big things when companies and institutions were talking about Bitcoin, it was its fractionalization, because it would essentially allow people, how 1 Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. If Bitcoin were to hit $100 million per coin, all you would really need is network consensus to basically say, let's add 2 more decimal places. And then, you would essentially be able to fractionalize Bitcoin and all of these coins and chains kind of forever. So yeah, the next step is basically, you can't own a home. Well, now you own 1/100th of it. You can't, have access to this because it's too expensive. Well, no worry, buddy. You can, have 50 cents worth of it. Yeah, that's kind of where things are going. I told you all before. I've been telling people for years about this. If you own a home, you are one of the lucky, very, very few. If you own any fraction of Bitcoin or Ether or anything else, count yourself lucky. You don't really understand what you're actually holding, how rare that actually is compared to all the people on the planet. But yeah, tokenization has been popping up a lot the last few days. I assume really this is just the next step. The rules and regulations and the laws have, been released. Lawsuits are over. This company did that, and that is so-and-so. Everyone's talking about stable coins, and I assume the next step is basically putting everything on chain. Certain chains will win, certain chains will not. We will be going over the news, but pay close attention. We've gotten to the point in crypto where it's not just about throwing your money into anything. Look at where these really large companies are moving their money into. That's logically where people should be paying attention. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video, everyone. I do sincerely hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.